What would you do if your husband, the CEO of a $1 billion company, dumped you while you were 8 months pregnant for a 24-year-old supermodel? Sarah thought her life was over until her husband's billionaire rival showed up and changed everything. Betrayal, power, redemption, love. This isn't just another scandal. It's the story of a woman who lost everything and built something stronger than revenge. Because sometimes the best revenge is living well. If you love drama, twists, and stories where the underdog wins, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next story. Now let's dive in. The sterile lights of Mount Sinai Hospital's delivery room burned like accusations. Sarah Lawson gripped the metal bed rails, her knuckles white, her breath coming in ragged gasps as another contraction tore through her body. 8 months pregnant, alone. The monitor beside her bed beeped steadily, tracking 2 heartbeats that weren't hers. A nurse rushed in, her face creased with concern. "Mrs. Lawson, we need to reach your husband. Is there another number we can try?" Sarah's phone buzzed on the side table. Once, twice, a dozen times. The screen lit up like a fireworks display, notification after notification flooding in. Through the haze of pain, she could see the alerts stacking up. TMZ, Entertainment Weekly, People Magazine. Her mother, her sister, friends she hadn't spoken to in months. "Mrs. Lawson," the nurse pressed. Sarah turned her head toward the phone. The latest notification sat at the top of the screen, bold and merciless. Derek Lawson proposes to supermodel at Paris Fashion Week. Below the headline, a photo loaded. Derek on one knee beneath the Eiffel Tower. Madison Rivers with her hand over her mouth in exaggerated shock, her other hand extended to show off a ring that caught the Parisian sunset. Both of them smiling like they'd won the lottery. "He's not coming," Sarah whispered, her voice breaking. He was never coming. Another contraction hit, this one stronger, stealing her breath. The pain was nothing compared to what she'd felt scrolling through that photo. Her husband, the father of the children, currently trying to claw their way out of her body, proposing to another woman while she lay here alone. The nurse grabbed the phone, her eyes widening as she saw the screen. Her professional mask slipped for just a moment, revealing pity. Sarah hated that look. She'd been seeing it for weeks now. "Dr. Martinez," the nurse called, her voice urgent. "She's crashing. We need emergency C-section now." The room exploded into controlled chaos. A team materialized from nowhere. Voices overlapped, hands moved her body, bright lights wheeled overhead. Sarah's vision blurred, the ceiling tiles melting into white noise. Someone placed a mask over her face. As the anesthesia pulled her under, Sarah's last conscious thought echoed in the darkness. 72 hours ago, I thought I was living a fairy tale. 72 hours earlier, the Metropolitan Museum of Art glittered like something out of a dream. Crystal chandeliers threw rainbows across marble floors. A string quartet played Vivaldi in the corner. Manhattan's elite mingled beneath priceless works of art, champagne glasses catching the light like tiny stars. Sarah stood near the Greek sculptures, her hand resting on her 6-month belly, trying to remember how to smile for the cameras. The navy maternity gown Becca had helped her pick out felt too tight suddenly, despite the expert tailoring. Or maybe it was just the weight of everyone's eyes on her. "Mrs. Lawson," a photographer waved her over. "Can we get you and your husband together?" Sarah turned, searching the crowd for Derek. She found him by the Monet, surrounded by investors and their wives, his $1 million smile firmly in place. He looked perfect in his designer tuxedo, every inch the successful tech CEO. When he saw the photographer gesturing, his jaw tensed, just for a moment. Most people wouldn't have noticed. Sarah noticed everything now. "Just me," Derek called to the photographer in his tone charming but firm. "My wife's tired." He didn't look at Sarah, didn't ask if she was tired, just made the decision and moved on. Sarah's smile faltered. She caught it, forced it back into place, but the damage was done. The photographer had already moved on to more cooperative subjects. She stood there, hand on her belly, invisible in a room full of people who supposedly knew her. The bathroom was on the second floor, up a grand staircase that left her breathless. Sarah locked herself in a stall and tried to remember when Derek had last touched her. really touched her. Not the perfunctory kiss on the forehead before he left for work. Not the absent pat on her shoulder when they passed in the kitchen. Real touch. The kind that said, I see you, I choose you, I love you. Two women entered, their heels clicking on the marble floor. Sarah froze. Did you see Derek Lawson? The first voice was breathy with admiration. God, his wife's looking rough. 6 months pregnant, and he's barely touching her. The second woman laughed. Trouble in paradise? I heard he's been in LA a lot, business meetings. The way she said it made air quotes unnecessary. Sarah pressed her hand against her mouth to keep from making a sound. Her babies kicked, as if sensing her distress. She waited until the women left before emerging, checking her reflection in the mirror. Rough. Was that what people saw when they looked at her now? When she returned to the gala, Derek was talking to Madison Rivers. Sarah recognized her immediately. 2 million Instagram followers. Brand ambassador for half a dozen luxury companies. 24 years old and stunning in a red dress that seemed designed to make every woman in the room feel inadequate. Derek's whole body language had changed. He leaned in when Madison spoke, animated and alive in a way Sarah hadn't seen in months, maybe years. Sarah approached, her heels clicking too loud in her own ears. Hi, I'm Sarah, Derek's wife. Madison turned, her smile bright and competitive. Oh my God, congratulations on the pregnancy. Derek's told me so much about you. The lie was smooth as silk. Derek never talked about Sarah. Not anymore. Madison is our new brand ambassador, Derek said, his tone cold and businesslike. The voice he used in board meetings. She's the face of our Gen Z market expansion. Derek's been mentoring me, Madison said, touching his arm. A casual touch, the kind of touch Sarah used to give her husband. He's amazing. Derek didn't move Madison's hand away. Sarah's eyes dropped to his left hand. No wedding ring. The space where it should have been was pale, a ghost of commitment past. Derek, Sarah said quietly, where's your ring? His expression hardened. At the jeweler, getting resized. Don't make a scene. He walked away with Madison, leaving Sarah standing alone in a crowded room. Around her, the party continued. The champagne flowed, the music played, and Sarah stood perfectly still. Her hand on her pregnant belly, understanding with sudden, devastating clarity that her marriage was already over. She just hadn't been told yet. At 2 a.m, Sarah waited in their Park Avenue penthouse. The view from the floor-to-ceiling windows showed a city that never slept, lights twinkling like promises. Empty promises, it turned out. Derek came home smelling of expensive scotch and someone else's perfume. He was on his phone, laughing at something, then saw Sarah on the couch and his whole demeanor shifted. I'll call you tomorrow, he said into the phone, hanging up quickly. Who was that? Sarah asked. Investor from Tokyo. Time difference. He loosened his tie, not looking at her. Why are you still up? Derek, we need to talk. He poured himself a drink, his back to her. It's 2 a.m, Sarah. I'm exhausted. Are you having an affair with Madison? He laughed, actually laughed. Jesus, are you serious right now? You didn't wear your ring tonight. You barely looked at me. Because I was working. He turned, his eyes cold. You know, that thing that pays for this penthouse? Your Bergdorf charge card? The nanny will need in 3 months? Madison is an asset, he continued, his voice taking on that patronizing tone she'd come to dread. A 24-year-old with 2 million followers who makes our company relevant. That's business. The way you looked at her, the way I looked at ROI, return on investment. You used to understand business, Sarah. I gave up my career to support yours. And I'm grateful. The word came out flat, empty. But this pregnancy has made you paranoid. Maybe talk to your doctor about your hormones. Sarah felt tears forming. I'm not crazy. I didn't say crazy, I said hormonal. There's a difference. He kissed her forehead, the gesture somehow more insulting than if he'd pushed her away. Get some sleep. For the babies. He went to the guest room. The door closed with a quiet click that sounded like a gunshot in the silence. Sarah sat alone, her hand on her belly, and finally admitted what she'd known since the gala. Her husband didn't love her anymore. Maybe he never had. 2 weeks later, Sarah lay on the exam table at her OB-GYN's office, watching her twins on the ultrasound monitor. Two perfect heartbeats. Two tiny humans who had no idea their world was about to implode. Twins are perfect, Dr. Martinez said warmly. You're doing great, Sarah. Sarah's phone buzzed. Then again, and again. The sound filled the small room like angry wasps. You can check that if you need to, Dr. Martinez said, frowning at the screen. Sarah picked up her phone. 47 text notifications. The number kept climbing. Her sister Becca, do not look at Twitter. Call me now. Her mother, honey, are you okay? I'm seeing things online. A college friend, OMG. Sarah, I'm so sorry, I had no idea. Sarah opened Twitter with shaking hands. The trending topics loaded. Number 1, hashtag Lawson Affair. The TMZ headline filled her screen. Lawson Tech CEO's secret romance. Derek Lawson and model Madison Rivers spotted in Santorini. The photos loaded one by one. Derek and Madison on a yacht, kissing. Madison in a bikini, Derek shirtless, his hands on her waist. Dinner at a candle-lit restaurant, Derek feeding her dessert. The date stamp said last week, when he'd told Sarah he was in London for investor meetings. Sarah's hands shook so badly she almost dropped the phone. Ultrasound gal was still on her belly. Her babies were still on the monitor, their heartbeats steady and trusting. Sarah, Dr. Martinez reached for her. Your blood pressure is spiking. Breathe. Sarah couldn't breathe. The room tilted. Her vision tunneled. She heard Dr. Martinez calling for a nurse, felt hands on her shoulders, but it all seemed very far away. When she could think again, when the panic attack had passed and she'd convinced the medical staff she was fine, she wasn't. Sarah drove to Lawson Tech headquarters. She didn't remember the drive. One moment she was in the parking garage beneath the doctor's office. The next she was on the 42nd floor, still in her maternity jeans and sneakers, pushing past Derek's terrified assistant. Mrs. Lawson, Derek's in a meeting. I'm his wife. Move. Brittany, the assistant, pressed her desk phone with shaking hands. Sir, your wife is... Sarah pushed open the door to Derek's corner office. He was at his desk with 3 executives, mid-presentation. Everyone froze when they saw her. Gentlemen, excuse us. Derek's voice was low, dangerous. Sarah, what are you doing here? The executives filed out. Brittany closed the door. Sarah threw her phone onto Derek's mahogany desk. The TMZ article glowed on the screen. Explain, she said, now. Derek barely glanced at the phone. I don't owe you explanations. I'm your wife, carrying your children. Are you? His voice was ice cold. Are they mine? Because honestly, Sarah, I don't remember the last time we had sex. Sarah slapped him. Hard. Her palm connected with his cheek with a sound like a thunderclap. Her hands stung. Derek didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled. There it is, he said softly. The real you. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a manila envelope, slid it across the desk like he was serving her a subpoena, which it turned out he was. What is this? Sarah's hands shook as she opened it. Divorce papers. My lawyer will contact yours. Signed by Friday. Sarah read the first page, then the second. The words blurred together. Divorce, irreconcilable differences, per prenuptial agreement. And then the numbers. The tiny, insulting numbers. You're giving me nothing. The prenup, which you signed, ironclad. You get the Hamptons house for 6 months, $50,000, and whatever's in your personal account. I gave up my career for you. I planned your life, your events, and I'm grateful. But gratitude isn't alimony. His phone buzzed. He answered it, and his whole voice changed, softened, warmed. Hey, no, I'm wrapping up. Dinner at 8. I'll pick you up. He hung up. Sarah stared at him. That was her. Madison and I are going public tonight. Press release at 6. I wanted you to hear it from me first. No emotion, no regret, nothing. You're announcing your affair for our divorce is even filed? It's not an affair. You and I are done. Madison is my future. You're my past. The door opened. 2 security guards entered. Sarah recognized them, Mike and Tony. They'd helped her carry in Christmas presents last year. Now they wouldn't meet her eyes. Escort Mrs. Lawson out, Derek said. already turning back to his laptop. She's no longer authorized in this building. Derek, please. Your key card is deactivated. Don't come back. The guards were gentle but firm. The entire floor full of employees watched as Sarah was escorted to the elevator, their faces blurred, voices muffled. The elevator doors closed on her tear-stained reflection, and Sarah finally understood. She wasn't a person to Derek. She was an obstacle to his rebrand. In her car in the parking garage, Sarah sobbed, ugly, gasping sobs that made her whole body shake. Her phone rang. Becca. He threw me out, Sarah managed, like garbage. Where are you? I'm coming to get you. I don't know what to do. You fight, Becca said fiercely. You fight like hell. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't move. Sarah sat in her car, one hand on her pregnant belly, and made herself a promise. She'd been Derek's perfect wife, his supportive partner, his convenient accessory. She'd swallowed her anger, her hurt, her voice. Not anymore. Becca's law office occupied the 32nd floor of a glass tower in Midtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows. City views. The kind of power furniture that cost more than some people's cars. Becca sat behind her desk reading Sarah's prenuptial agreement with a highlighter, her expression growing darker with every page. This prenup is designed to destroy you, Becca said finally. Pardon my French, but Jesus Christ. Sarah sat across from her, still wearing the same clothes from 2 days ago. She hadn't showered, hadn't eaten, hadn't done anything except replay the scene in Derek's office over and over in her mind. I signed it, Sarah said hollowly. I'm an idiot. You were in love. He was tactical. Becca flipped to another page, highlighting something. There's a difference. Sarah watched her sister work. Becca had always been the strong one, the one who questioned everything, who read the fine print, who never let anyone take advantage. While Sarah had been playing the perfect wife, Becca had been building a career destroying men like Derek in divorce court. Wait, Becca stopped, her highlighter hovering over a clause. Wait. What? Section 12, Clause D. Becca read aloud. This agreement is voided if marital assets are misappropriated for extramarital affairs. Sarah frowned. What does that mean? It means if Derek used your money, joint accounts, company funds he controls, anything you had claim to wine and dine his mistress, the prenup is void. Becca looked up, her eyes bright. Everything you saw in those TMZ photos, Santorini, Maldives, that Cartier necklace Madison wore at the Met, if we can prove he paid for any of that with marital or company assets, we can fight this. For the first time in days, Sarah sat up straighter, a spark of something, not quite hope, but close. He took her everywhere, private jets, 5-star hotels. Her entire wardrobe is designer. Then we need proof, bank records, credit card statements, receipts. Becca closed the prenup. Can you access his accounts? He froze me out of everything. Then we hire a forensic accountant and a private investigator. With what money? You read the prenup. I'm broke. Becca smiled, sharp and dangerous. I'll front it. Family discount. Besides, I've been wanting to take down a narcissistic CEO for months. Derek Lawson just volunteered. Why are you helping me? Because he's an asshole who needs to lose. And because you're my sister. Becca reached across the desk, squeezing Sarah's hand. You're not fighting him alone anymore. Sarah cried then. Different tears, grateful tears. For 2 days she'd felt completely alone. Derek had taken her home, her security, her identity. But she still had Becca. They spent the next 3 weeks building a case. The private investigator was a grizzled former cop named Jack Morrison, who looked like he'd seen everything twice. The forensic accountant was a woman named Elena Rodriguez, who could find financial irregularities the way bloodhounds found scents. Week 1, Jack brought Sarah an envelope of photos. Derek and Madison at Nobu, at the theater, coming out of a hotel in Tulum. Every photo time-stamped and annotated. Elena brought spreadsheets highlighting every suspicious expense on Derek's corporate card. Week 2, the evidence multiplied. A $47,000 Cartier necklace purchased on the Lawson Tech Corporate American Express. Hotel records showing the presidential suite at the Four Seasons Maldives billed to LT Executive Retreat. Private jet usage logs documenting 18 trips to Los Angeles, Madison City in 6 months. Week 3, Sarah sat in Becca's guest room, her laptop open, building a timeline. Every business trip Derek had claimed, every late night at the office, every weekend conference. She cross-referenced them with Madison's Instagram posts. The affair had been going on for 8 months. "This isn't just divorce fraud," Becca said over the phone. "This is corporate embezzlement. We could bring this to the SEC." Sarah stared at her computer screen, at the mountain of evidence they'd collected. "I don't want to just win the divorce. I want him exposed." "Then we go nuclear," Becca said. "Emergency board meeting. Present the evidence directly to Lawson Tech's board of directors. Force them to do what Derek's been doing with company money. Will it work? It'll either work or we'll go down swinging. Either way, Derek will know you fought back." Sarah closed her laptop. 8 months pregnant now, her belly huge, her back aching constantly. But for the first time since the gala, she felt something other than despair. She felt angry. And anger, it turned out, was much more useful than sadness. The Lawson Tech boardroom occupied the top floor of the building, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Mahogany table, leather chairs. 8 board members sat around it, including Patricia Lawson, Derek's mother, Ice Queen of Connecticut old money. Sarah stood at the presentation screen, 8 months pregnant in a power suit Becca had bought her. Her hands shook as she inserted the USB drive, but her voice stayed steady. "I'm here because Derek has been embezzling company funds." Gasps around the table. Derek, sitting at the head, laughed. "Jesus Christ, Sarah. Stop embarrassing yourself." "Madison Rivers," Sarah said, clicking to the first slide. Madison's smiling face filled the screen. Chief Brand Officer. Salary, $250,000 per year. Can anyone tell me what she's actually produced? Silence. Sarah clicked through more slides. Here's her work product. Instagram photos, Madison at fashion shows, Madison on yachts, Madison at club openings, all on company time. $47,000 Cartier necklace, Sarah continued, her voice getting stronger. Billed as brand partnership gift. Here's Madison wearing it on a yacht in Greece. Click. Private jet to Maldives. Expense code, executive strategy retreat. Population of retreat, 2. Derek and Madison's photo, suntanned and laughing. Over 6 months, Derek has spent $680,000 in company money on his girlfriend. Money that belongs to investors, to shareholders, to employees whose health care he cut last quarter. The board members shifted uncomfortably. The CFO wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. Sarah allowed herself a moment of hope. Then Patricia Lawson stood. "Sarah, dear," Patricia said, her voice cutting through the room like a scalpel. "Stop! Mrs. Lawson, you don't understand." "No, you don't understand. The board is already aware of Madison's arrangement." The room tilted. "What?" "Madison Rivers is an investment," Patricia continued calmly. "Derek has increased our youth market penetration 340%. Her social media presence has driven $60 million in new customer acquisition." The board chairman, Harold West, nodded. The board approved Madison's compensation package, including ancillary expenses. "Ancillary expenses?" Sarah's voice broke. "She's his mistress." "She's a brand asset," Patricia interrupted. "Derek's personal life is irrelevant if it serves company growth. You, my dear, were always transitional." The words landed like blows. Sarah looked around the room. Every board member avoided her eyes. They'd known, they'd all known, and they'd approved it. "You're embarrassing yourself," Derek said, emboldened now. "This is business." "Business?" Sarah grabbed the chair for support. "I'm carrying your children." "Which is precisely why this needed to end," Patricia said coldly. "A divorced, bitter wife is bad optics. A young, vibrant partner signals vitality." Becca stormed forward from where she'd been standing and back. "This is fraud. I'm reporting this to the SEC, and will bury you in litigation for 10 years, Patricia said. "You're a family law attorney, dear. You're out of your depth." Patricia nodded to someone behind Sarah. Security guards entered. Sarah, you're no longer welcome in Lawson facilities. Your shareholder status will be bought out per the prenup terms. $50,000. Take it or fight us and get nothing. Derek stood, adjusting his cufflinks. You can't win this, Sarah. You never could. The guards escorted Sarah and Becca out. Again. Employees watched. Again. The elevator doors closed on Sarah's devastated face. In the elevator, Sarah collapsed against the wall. I wasn't fighting a man. I was fighting an empire. Fuck the empire, Becca said. We find another way. But Sarah barely heard her. She just learned a terrible truth. The system wasn't broken. It was designed this way. To protect men like Derek. To discard women like her. 3 days later, Sarah sat in a coffee shop in Soho, trying to be invisible. Baseball cap, oversized sweater. She'd been hiding in Becca's apartment, but Becca had dragged her out. You can't hide forever. On her phone, the People magazine cover mocked her. Derek and Madison, professionally photographed, the headline reading Love Rebuilt. Sarah was halfway through reading the interview, her stomach churning, when a man sat down across from her. Sarah Mitchell, he said. We've never met, but I know who you are. Sarah looked up defensive. If you're a reporter, I'm James Sterling, and I know what Derek Lawson did to you. Sarah's eyes widened. She knew that name. Everyone in tech knew that name. James Sterling, self-made billionaire, Derek's biggest competitor. 42 years old, attractive in an understated way, worn jeans and an expensive watch, salt and pepper stubble, eyes that had seen too much. Why are you here? Sarah asked. Because I watched you walk into that boardroom 3 days ago and try to take him down, and I thought finally someone sees him for what he is. It didn't work. I know, I've been trying to expose Derek for years. James's jaw tightened. 8 years ago, Derek and I were partners. We built code for a cybersecurity algorithm, my code. He took it, filed the patent under his name, pushed me out, and built Lawson Tech on my work. Why didn't you sue? I did. Lawson family lawyers buried me. I was 34, broke, fighting billionaires. I lost everything. And you built Sterling Industries anyway, James nodded. From scratch. Took 8 years, but I'm worth more than Derek now. But it's not about money. It's about him thinking he's untouchable. Sarah studied him, looking for the angle. Everyone had one. What do you want from me? To help you. Top lawyers, forensic accountants, resources to fight the Lawson machine. Why would you do that? Because watching Derek Lawson fall would be the best investment that I've ever made. James paused. And because what he did to you is what he does to everyone. He uses people until they're not useful anymore. Sarah's walls stayed up. I don't need another man trying to control my life. I'm not offering control. I'm offering partnership. Partnership in justice. He slid a business card across the table. Sarah stared at it. James Sterling. It's our CEO, Sterling Industries. Direct line. James stood to leave. Sarah stopped him. Did you really build Sterling Industries from nothing? Yes. Because someone once told me, the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy. It's building something they can never touch. He smiled slightly. But sometimes you can do both. After he left, Sarah sat alone with the business card. She'd just escaped one puppet master. Was she walking into another? Or was this her only chance to fight back? Sarah took the business card home, stared at it for 2 days, finally called. James's penthouse office was all glass and steel, walls covered with monitors tracking Lawson Tech stock, news feeds, social media. His team assembled around a conference table. A lawyer named Kate Murphy, sharp and unintimidated. Elena Rodriguez, the forensic accountant Becca had hired. A PR strategist named David Collins. Here's how we do this, James said, laying out folders. Clean, legal, strategic. For 3 weeks, Sarah became part of James's operation. Late-night strategy sessions where she forgot to be tired. James bringing her herbal tea, reminding her to rest. The way he looked at her, like she was competent and strong instead of broken and desperate. One night, after everyone left, Sarah and James stood on his balcony overlooking the city. Why haven't you gotten married? Sarah asked. Built a family? I did, once. She left when the lawsuit ate everything. Couldn't handle the fall. I'm sorry. Don't be. She did me a favor. Showed me who stays when the spotlight goes dark. He looked at Sarah. You're not broken. You know that, right? I feel broken. Broken things shatter. You're bending. That's called resilience. Sarah left before she could do something stupid. Like believe him. Like trust him. Like fall for another man who might be using her. But for 3 weeks, she felt safe, protected, maybe even desired. She should have known it was too good to be true. At 6 in the morning, Sarah's phone exploded with notifications. The news alert filled her screen. Scorned wife teams with husband's rival and revenge plot. Photos of her leaving James's office building. Having coffee. The article spun it perfectly. Gold digger. Using another rich man. Derek dodged a bullet. The comments were brutal. Sarah read them until she couldn't breathe. Then she called James. How did they find out? I don't know. My team signed NDAs. This makes me look like I'm using you. James paused. Are you worried about how it looks, or that it might be partly true? What? Sarah, we're using each other. That was always the deal. The words hit like a slap. Right, the deal. I didn't mean. Sarah hung up, sat alone in her temporary apartment, feeling the walls close in. The stress made her stomach cramp. She ignored it. By 8 o'clock that night, she couldn't ignore it anymore. Sharp pain, her water breaking. 32 weeks. Too early. Too early. She called James, voicemail, called Becca, voicemail. Called 911 with shaking hands. I need an ambulance. I'm in labor. I'm alone. In the ambulance, a paramedic held her hand. Who can we call for you? There's no one, Sarah whispered. At the hospital, alone in the delivery room, her phone buzzed with notifications. Derek's proposal to Madison. Derek moving on. Derek's perfect new life. We need emergency C-section, the nurse said. The babies are in distress. Do it, Sarah said numbly. As the anesthesia pulled her under, her last thought was, if I don't wake up, at least I don't have to fight anymore. She woke up in recovery, groggy, in pain. A nurse smiled down at her. You did great. 2 healthy boys. Can I see them? They're in NICU, standard for premature twins, but they're strong. The door opened. Derek walked in, suit, lawyers behind him. Sarah's heart stopped. What are you doing here? I'm their father. Hospital called me as emergency contact. Get out. Derek sat, placed an envelope on her bed. Emergency custody filing. I'm taking the boys. You can't. You're living in a studio apartment, unemployed, mentally unstable. You went into early labor because you can't handle stress. He was building his case in real time. I can provide stability, the Lawson estate, nannies, the best schools. I'm their mother, and I'm their father, with resources you don't have. Patricia Lawson appeared behind him. Dear, don't make this a war you'll lose. Sign the custody agreement. You'll get supervised visitation. You're taking my babies. We're giving them a proper life. They left. Sarah lay in the hospital bed, stitches pulling, milk coming in, arms empty. She sobbed. Deep, guttural, animal grief. That was her rock bottom. Not the affair, not the divorce, not the humiliation. Losing her children before she even got to hold them. 3 weeks later, Sarah existed in Becca's guest room like a ghost. Dark curtains, unwashed hair, empty eyes. She'd been to supervised visits with her twins. They cried when she held them. Didn't recognize her. 3 months old and already strangers. Becca entered with a food tray. You need to eat. I'm not hungry. Sarah, you have a custody hearing in 2 weeks. I'm not going. Becca set down the tray, sat on the bed. What? I can't win. You said it yourself. They have unlimited money, unlimited lawyers. Patricia owns half the judges in Manhattan. So you're giving up? I'm being realistic. Maybe Derek's right. Maybe they are better off with him. Stable home, resources. Becca grabbed Sarah's shoulders. Listen to me. You're not giving up because it's better for them. You're giving up because you're terrified. Of course I'm terrified. I've lost everything. You haven't lost them. Not yet. But you will if you quit now. Becca's voice softened. Stop fighting his way. Stop playing defense. Make him react. Something shifted in Sarah's eyes. How? Find someone on the inside willing to tell the truth. Sarah thought about that. Thought about Madison, who'd been quiet on social media lately. Thought about the message Madison had sent weeks ago before everything fell apart. We should talk. 2 days later, Sarah stood outside Madison's West Village apartment. Knocked. No answer. Madison, I know you're in there. I'm not leaving. Long pause, the door opened. Madison stood there in sweats, no makeup, looking exhausted. What do you want? To talk. I have nothing to say to you. Then listen. Madison hesitated, then stepped aside. The apartment was expensive but impersonal. Packed boxes in the corner. A photo on the counter caught Sarah's eye. Madison with an elderly woman. Your mother? Madison grabbed the photo, hid it. She died last year, cancer. I couldn't afford the treatments. Sarah's expression softened. That's how he got you. I'm not a victim. I made choices. We both did, bad ones, for what we thought were good reasons. Silence stretched between them. Two women, both trapped differently by the same man. Do you love him? Sarah asked. Madison laughed bitterly. Love? Derek doesn't do love. He does transactions. Then why stay? Madison showed her phone. Text messages from Derek. Threatening, controlling. He has photos of me, videos. If I leave, if I talk, he'll destroy what's left of my career. Sarah read the messages. Don't test me, Madison. I made you. I can unmake you. He's doing to you what he did to me, Sarah said, trapping you. The difference is you got out. I didn't get out. I was thrown out. But you can still choose to leave. And go where? Do what? I'm 24 with no degree, no skills except looking pretty for a camera. Sarah sat beside her. I have a plan to take him down. The fraud, the embezzlement, all of it. But I need someone from inside. Someone who knows where the bodies are buried. You want me to testify against him? I want you to testify for yourself. Get your life back. He'll destroy me. He's already destroying you. At least this way you choose the ending. Madison stared at her hands. Long pause. What do you need? The next day they gathered in James's conference room. Sarah, Becca, James, Madison, Elena the accountant, Kate the lawyer. Madison provided everything. Derek's laptop backup, text messages showing him instructing her to lie, voice recordings, photos of Derek with two other women, affairs during the marriage Sarah hadn't even known about. This is enough for criminal charges, Elena said. SEC violation, wire fraud, tax evasion. James had been quiet. Sarah looked at him. You've been quiet because I want to make sure you're doing this for the right reasons. Which are? Freedom, not revenge. Can it be both? James smiled slightly. Fair enough. Late that night, after everyone left, James and Sarah organized documents. He finally spoke. I'm sorry I didn't answer when you went into labor. I was on a flight, phone off. When I landed and saw your messages, you don't owe me explanations. Yes, I do. You've been avoiding my calls for 3 weeks. Because I needed to figure out if I was using you or if this was something else. And I don't know yet, but I know I can't think about anything except getting my boys back. Then that's what we focus on. He moved closer but didn't touch her. Respectful distance. For the record, when this is over and you have your sons back, I'd like to take you to dinner, a real one. Not strategy, not revenge, just us. Sarah smiled slightly. Ask me again when I'm not falling apart. Deal. 1 week before the custody trial, Sarah had supervised visitation at the Lawson estate. The Connecticut mansion was palatial, cold, unwelcoming. A nanny supervised while Sarah sat on the floor with her 3-month-old twins. They didn't recognize her, cried when she picked them up. How often does Derek see them? Sarah asked the nanny. The woman looked uncomfortable. Mr. Lawson is very busy. I handle most of the care. How often? Maybe an hour a day, sometimes less. Derek entered on his phone, not acknowledging Sarah. Close the deal. I don't care what it takes. He hung up. Take them upstairs. Feeding time. I'm feeding them, Sarah said. Visitation's over. I have 20 more minutes, and I'm ending it early. My house, my rules. The nanny took the twins. They wailed. Sarah's arms empty again. You don't even want them, Sarah said, voice breaking. This is just to punish me. No, this is to teach you a lesson. You don't leave Derek Lawson and come out ahead. Something snapped in Sarah. You know what I realized? You are not powerful. You're pathetic. You measure your worth by how much you can control. But control isn't love, Derek. And one day, those boys will figure that out. Derek's face went cold. Get out of my house. Patricia appeared. Sarah, your hour is up. Sarah walked to her car with dignity. Then alone, she screamed, pounded the steering wheel. Primal grief, her phone rang. James, I can't do this, she sobbed. Yes, you can. They don't even know me. My own children don't know me. Then we make sure they do. Tomorrow we file everything. Motion for emergency custody review, criminal complaint, SEC report, all of it. What if we lose? Then we lose fighting. But Sarah, we're not going to lose. His certainty reached her. How do you know? Because everyone falls eventually. We're just helping gravity. The federal courthouse was packed. Press, lawyers, Derek's team, Sarah's team. Judge Helena Rodriguez presided, a no-nonsense woman who'd seen everything twice. Derek's lawyer stood. Your Honor, Mrs. Lawson is clearly unstable. She's collaborated with my client's business rival in a revenge scheme. Becca stood. Your Honor, may I present Exhibit A through Z? Boxes of documents wheeled in. The courtroom murmured. Financial records showing Mr. Lawson embezzled $680,000 in company funds. Tax returns showing unreported income. Recordings proving he's been coaching witnesses to lie. Derek hissed to his lawyer. You said this was handled. We also have testimony from Madison Rivers, Becca continued, Miss Lawson's girlfriend, detailing his pattern of financial manipulation and coercion. Madison stood from the gallery, every eye turned to her. Derek's lawyer tried to object. Your Honor, Miss Rivers is a scorned girlfriend. I'm a woman who was used, Madison said, voice shaking but clear. Like Sarah was used, like the 3 women before me were used. Derek Lawson doesn't love anyone. He collects people like trophies and throws them away when they lose their shine. The courtroom exploded. Judge Rodriguez banged her gavel. Order! Becca introduced more evidence. The nanny's written statement. Mr. Lawson has never changed a diaper. He refers to the children as the twins, not by name. He missed their first pediatric appointment for a tea time. Mr. Lawson, stand, the judge said. Derek stood, his confident facade cracking. I'm ordering immediate return of primary custody to Mrs. Mitchell, pending full investigation. You will have supervised visitation, 2 hours per week, contingent on completion of parenting classes and therapy. Your Honor, I'm not finished. I'm also referring this case to the U.S. Attorney's Office for criminal investigation into financial fraud. Patricia stood. You can't. Mrs. Lawson, sit down or I'll hold you in contempt. Your son is an adult who made adult choices. He can face adult consequences. The gavel banged. The courtroom erupted. Press rushed out. Sarah sat, numb. Becca hugged her. Across the courtroom, James caught her eye. Nodded. Outside, reporters swarmed. Sarah, how does it feel to win? Sarah stood before the microphones, calm for the first time in months. It doesn't feel like winning. It feels like surviving. And that's enough. James's car waited. He opened the door. You did it. We did it. That evening, police supervised as Sarah picked up her twins from the Lawson estate. The nanny handed them over. Sarah sobbed as she held them. Hi, my loves. Mommy's here. Mommy's got you. At her new apartment, a 2-bedroom place James had helped her get, Sarah put the twins in their bassinets, stared at them sleeping. Finally safe. Finally home. A knock on the door. James would take out. You didn't have to. I know. I wanted to. They ate in comfortable silence. The first normal moment in months. Thank you, Sarah started, for everything. I couldn't have. Sarah, stop thanking me. Wait, because I didn't do this for gratitude. He struggled with vulnerability. Somewhere in the middle of all this, you stopped being a case I wanted to win and started being someone I didn't want to lose. Sarah's breath caught. James, I'm a mess. Single mom, two infants, PTSD, trust issues. I know. I don't even know who I am anymore outside of being Derek's ex-wife. Then figure it out. I'll wait. Why would you wait? He moved closer, didn't touch her. Because for the first time in my life, waiting feels like the right investment. Long pause. Eye contact. Ask me again in a year, when I'm not drowning. I'll ask you in 2 years, when you're thriving. He kissed her forehead. Left. Sarah watched him go, understanding something fundamental. She didn't know if James Sterling was her future, but he wasn't her past, and that was enough to hope. The text on the screen read, 18 months later. Sarah's apartment looked different now. Warm, lived in, photos on the walls, toys scattered across the floor. The twins, 20 months old, played with blocks while Sarah worked at her laptop. The website on screen showed Mitchell Marketing Consultancy, her business. Her phone rang. A client. Hi, Jennifer. Yes, I got your email. I think we can increase your social media ROI by 40%. Professional, capable, back. The doorbell rang. The twins squealed. Sarah opened the door to find James standing there. JJ, the twins shrieked, their name for him. James scooped them both up, one in each arm. They giggled. Who wants the park? Park, park, Sarah laughed. You're supposed to ask the parent first. I'm asking now. Park? Yes, let me get their jackets. Central Park in autumn. The twins in their stroller. Sarah and James walking like a family, though they weren't married yet, taking it slow. You've been coming over a lot, Sarah said. Too much? No. It's nice. The boys love you. What about their mom? Sarah smiled. Their mom is still figuring things out. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. They sat on a bench. The twins toddled on grass, supervised. I saw Derek last week, Sarah said. Supervised visitation. James tensed. How was it? Sad. He tried to play with them. They didn't really respond. He's different. Quieter. Prison will do that. Derek had served 6 months for fraud, was currently on house arrest. He's in therapy, court mandated, but still. Do you feel bad for him? No, but I don't feel angry anymore either. I feel nothing, and that's freeing. One twin fell, scraped his knee. Both adults jumped up. James got there first, scooped up the child. You're okay, buddy. Just a scratch. Let's get a Band-Aid. Natural with them. Loving. Father without biology. Sarah watched, something shifting in her chest. That evening, the twins' second birthday party ended. Madison had been there, now Sarah's friend and employee at the marketing firm. Becca had been there, godmother to the twins. After everyone left, just Sarah, James, and sleeping twins remained. James helped clean up, picking up toys, washing plates. Domestic, real. You don't have to do that, Sarah said. I know. Most men would have run by now, 2 kids, complicated ex, mess of a life. James stopped, turned to her. Sarah, stop. What? He knelt, not with a ring yet, just knelt. Sarah panicked. What are you doing? Something I should have done a year ago. He took her hands. I'm not asking you to marry me, not yet. Then what? I'm asking, do you trust me? Long pause, Sarah's eyes filled with tears. That's a harder question than marriage. I know, but I need you to answer it. I'm scared. Every time I trust someone, I'm not Derek. I'm not your father. I'm not any man who hurt you. How do I know that? Because I've been showing up for 2 years. Not for show, not for leverage. Because I want to be here. He pulled out a ring box, opened it. Simple, elegant ring. Not flashy, just right. But I want you to be sure. So here's what I'm proposing. Let's get engaged. Long engagement. Take your time. And when you're ready, not when you feel pressured, not when it makes logistical sense, but when your gut tells you, yes, we get married. You're giving me an escape hatch. I'm giving you choice, because that's what love is. Choice. Every single day. Silence. Sarah looked at the ring, at James, at her sleeping children. I'm still a mess. I know. I have trust issues and trauma, and I'll probably need therapy for years. I know. And you still want to? Yes. Because you're not broken, Sarah. You're human. And I'd rather spend my life with a real messy human than a perfect illusion. Sarah laughed through tears. You're really good at speeches. Is that a yes? Ask me, the actual question. James smiled. Sarah Mitchell's, will you marry me? Yes. He slid the ring on. They kissed. Soft, real, earned. One twin woke up, toddled out. JJ stay? James scooped up the child. Yeah, buddy, JJ's staying. Sarah watched them, her chosen family. She'd said yes, not because she needed saving, but because she wanted partnership. There was a difference, and that difference was everything. The text on screen read, 1 year later. Sarah stood in front of the full-length mirror in Becca's guest bedroom, her hands trembling as she smoothed down the ivory dress. Simple, elegant, nothing like the elaborate gown she'd worn for her first wedding. That dress had been Patricia Lawson's choice, all lace and tradition and old money expectations. This dress was hers, tea-length, cap sleeves, a dress she could breathe in. You're really doing this, Becca said from behind her, adjusting the small pearl comb in Sarah's hair. Sarah met her sister's eyes in the mirror. I'm terrified. Good. That means it matters. Becca's hands stilled on Sarah's shoulders. You know what I love about this? You're not the same woman who walked down the aisle 8 years ago. No, Sarah agreed softly. I'm not. She thought about that woman, 24 years old, fresh out of business school, so eager to please, so desperate to be chosen. She'd molded herself into whatever Derek wanted, the perfect wife, the silent supporter, the woman who made him look good at parties and never asked difficult questions. What if I'm making a mistake? The words came out before Sarah could stop them. Becca turned her around, hands firm on her shoulders. Then you'll handle it, because you're not that girl anymore. You're a woman who fought a billionaire and his entire empire and won. You're a mother who got her children back against impossible odds. You're a business owner who built something from nothing. She smiled. You don't need James Sterling. You want him. There's a difference. There's a... Sarah nodded, feeling tears threaten. Don't make me cry. Madison spent 20 minutes on this makeup. As if summoned, Madison knocked and entered, wearing a soft blue bridesmaid dress. Her dark hair was pulled back, natural makeup, nothing like the Instagram persona she'd cultivated 2 years ago. She looked younger somehow, lighter. The twins are ready, Madison announced, then grinned. And adorable. Though Lucas has cake frosting on his face already, I have no idea how he found cake before the reception. All three women laughed. Sarah looked at them, her sister and her unlikely friend, and felt overwhelming gratitude. Madison had testified against Derek, lost sponsorships, been dragged through social media hell. But she'd started over. Now she ran a nonprofit helping women escape financially abusive relationships. She'd turned her pain into purpose. Thank you, Madison said suddenly, her voice thick, for giving me a second chance. You gave yourself a second chance, Sarah corrected gently. I just held the door open. Madison hugged her, careful not to wrinkle the dress. You held the door open and told me I deserved to walk through it. That's more than anyone else did. Becca cleared her throat. Okay, enough crying or we'll all look like raccoons. Sarah, it's time. Sarah took one last look in the mirror. Her reflection showed a woman she was still learning to know. Stronger, wiser, scarred, but healing. She picked up her small bouquet of wildflowers, nothing like the elaborate rose arrangements from wedding number 1. I'm ready. The backyard of Becca's Connecticut house had been transformed. 30 white folding chairs arranged in neat rows. String lights hung between trees, waiting for evening. An arch covered in ivy and white flowers stood at the end of a simple aisle. Intimate, personal. Everything her first wedding hadn't been. Sarah waited at the back door, watching through the window. James stood at the altar in a dark gray suit, no tuxedo, looking nervous and real. Their guests were a small circle, James's business partner Tyler, a few close friends, Elena Rodriguez, the forensic accountant who'd helped build their case, Jack Morrison, the PI who'd tracked down evidence, people who'd stood with them through the fire. The music started, acoustic guitar playing a simple melody. The twins appeared first, walking down the aisle with exaggerated seriousness. Max carried a small pillow with the rings. Lucas walked beside him, occasionally waving at guests. Halfway down, Lucas tripped over his own feet. The guest gasped, then laughed as James rushed forward and scooped him up. "You're okay, buddy, just a little tumble?" Lucas gargled, and James carried him the rest of the way before setting him down with his brother in the front row. The moment was so perfectly imperfect that Sarah felt her heart expand. This was what family looked like. Not staged photos and careful presentations. Real, messy, full of love. The guitar shifted to a new melody. Becca squeezed Sarah's hand. "No one's giving you away this time." "I know, I'm giving myself." Sarah walked alone down the aisle. Her father had passed years ago, and she wouldn't have asked anyone else anyway. This marriage wasn't about being given from one man to another. It was about choosing, every step deliberate, every step hers. James watched her approach, tears already streaming down his face. No hiding it, no pretending to be unaffected. When she reached him, he whispered, "You're beautiful." "You're crying," she whispered back. "Yeah, get used to it." The officiant, a family friend named Robert who'd known Becca since law school, smiled warmly at them. "We're here today to witness Sarah and James choose each other. Not because they have to, not because society expects it, but because they want to build a life together based on partnership, trust, and genuine love." Robert looked at James. "I believe you wanted to go first?" James nodded, turning to face Sarah fully. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket, his hand shaking slightly. "Sarah," he began, his voice rough with emotion. "2 years ago, you walked into my life at your lowest point. You'd lost your home, your marriage, your children. You had every reason to give up, to accept defeat, to let Derek Lawson and his empire crush you." He paused, swallowing hard. "But you didn't. You stood up. You fought back. And you taught me something I'd forgotten in all my years of building companies and making deals. You taught me that real strength isn't avoiding failure. Real strength is getting back up after you've been knocked down. It's choosing to fight when fighting seems impossible." Tears rolled down his cheeks. He didn't wipe them away. "You didn't need me to save you. You saved yourself. I was just lucky enough that you let me walk beside you while you did it, that you trusted me to be part of your journey. That's the greatest gift anyone has ever given me." James looked at the twins in the front row. Max was picking his nose. Lucas was trying to catch a butterfly. Both oblivious to the gravity of the moment, and somehow that made it more perfect. "And to Max and Lucas," James continued, his voice breaking, "I promise to be the father you deserve. Not because biology says I have to, not because a court ordered it, but because love says I get to. Because every day with you two is a privilege. You taught me that family isn't much about blood. It's about showing up. It's about being present. It's about choosing each other every single day." Max looked up at his name and waved. The guests laughed. The tension broke. James folded his paper, shoving it back in his pocket. Robert turned to Sarah. "Your turn." Sarah hadn't written anything down. She'd tried, but every time she put pen to paper, it felt inadequate. So she decided to just speak from her heart. "James," she began, her voice steady despite the tears, "you showed me that love doesn't have to hurt. For so long, I thought love meant sacrifice, meant making myself smaller so someone else could be bigger, meant swallowing my voice, my dreams, myself so that my partner could shine." She looked at him, really looked at him. "You showed me I was wrong. You showed me that real partnership isn't about one person winning and another losing. It's about both people lifting each other up. It's about celebrating each other's successes instead of competing. It's about trust and respect and choosing each other even when it's hard." Her voice broke. "You didn't fix me, James. You stood beside me while I fixed myself. You gave me space to fall apart and time to put myself back together. You never demanded I be perfect. You just asked me to be real." She wiped her eyes, knowing her makeup was ruined and not caring. You taught me that showing up is different than showing off. That real love is quiet and consistent and safe. That family is something you build, not something that just happens. Sarah turned to look at her sons. And to my boys, Mommy loves you more than anything in this world. And now you have someone else who loves you just as much. How lucky are we? How incredibly, impossibly lucky are we? Both twins were paying attention now, sensing the emotion even if they didn't understand all the words. Max stood up and ran to them, Lucas following. Suddenly, it was a group hug at the altar. The ceremony forgotten, all four of them tangled together. Robert laughed. Well, I think that settles it. By the power vested in me by the state of Connecticut, I now pronounce you husband and wife. James, you may kiss your bride. James and Sarah kissed while their son squirmed between them, and the guests cheered, and somewhere overhead a bird sang, and it was perfect in its imperfection. The reception flowed seamlessly from ceremony. Becca had set up tables in the backyard, string lights now glowing in the gathering dusk. The first dance was the Songbird by Fleetwood Mac, Sarah's choice. She and James swayed together, forehead to forehead, while their guests watched. Happy? James murmured. Terrified, but yes. Good, me too. After their dance, James grabbed both twins. My turn with my boys. He put one on each foot and danced with them, standing on his shoes, the twins shrieking with laughter. Sarah watched from the sideline, Becca beside her. You did good, big sister. Yeah, Sarah agreed. I did. Across the street, partially hidden by trees, a black sedan sat with its engine off. Inside, Derek Lawson watched the celebration he wasn't invited to. He'd driven here without really deciding to. Just found himself on this road, parking where he could see, but not be seen. He watched Sarah laugh, watched James spin the twins, watched the life he could have had if he'd made different choices, if he'd valued what he had instead of always chasing something shinier, something newer, something that looked better in photos. A single tear ran down Derek's cheek. He didn't wipe it away, just let it fall. Then he started the car and drove away, leaving them to their celebration, leaving them to their happiness, letting go, finally, of what he'd destroyed. Back at the reception, Sarah threw her bouquet. Madison caught it, laughing, showing it to her new boyfriend, a high school teacher named Daniel, who looked at her like she hung the moon. James and Sarah cut the cake, the twins helping in a way that made more mess than progress. Frosting everywhere, laughter, joy. Becca stood to give her toast. To my sister, who taught me that surviving isn't the same as living, who showed me that hitting rock bottom isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of a better one, who proved that the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy, it's building a life so good they can't touch it. She raised her glass. To Sarah and James, to second chance, to chosen family, to love that's real. To love that's real, everyone echoed. As twilight deepened into night, Sarah and James found a quiet moment alone on the porch while their guests mingled. They sat on the swing, watching fireflies dance in the yard where their sons played with borrowed sparklers. Thank you, Sarah said softly. For what? For waiting, for staying, for showing up every single day, even when I was a mess. James squeezed her hand. You were never a mess. You were healing. There's a difference. They sat in comfortable silence, the sounds of celebration behind them, their future stretching out ahead, uncertain and beautiful in theirs. The text on the screen read, 5 years later, the suburban house sat in Westchester, away from the city's chaos. Backyard, summer evening, golden hour light. The twins, now 8 years old, played soccer with James. Sarah sat at the patio table, laptop open. Her marketing firm employed 30 people now. A golden retriever ran around, barking happily. Domestic bliss, earned. The doorbell rang. Sarah answered. Derek stood there, looking older, humbler, sober. Gray hair, no designer suit, jeans and a polo. You're early, Sarah said. Traffic was light. They're in the back. Go ahead. Derek walked through the house. Photos on the walls stopped him. Sarah and James's wedding. The twins' first day of school. James taking them. Family vacation to Disney. Christmas morning cake. The life he could have had. In the backyard, the twins saw him. "Dad's here." They called Derek Dad, James Daddy. Carefully navigated, Derek joined them, awkward but present. "How've they been?" Derek asked James. "Good. Max got an A on his science project. Lucas is reading above grade level." "That's great." Civil, not warm but not hostile, co-parenting after years of therapy. At dinner, everyone sat together. Sarah, James, twins, Derek. "So what do you want to do when you grow up?" Derek asked. "I want to be a scientist," Max said. "I want to be like Daddy," Lucas said, looking at James. Derek's face showed pain, but he smiled. "That's a good choice, bud." After dinner, Derek left. Sarah walked him out. "Thank you," Derek said, "for letting me be part of their lives. They deserve to know their father, even if you weren't ready to be one when they were born. I see what I'd have lost every time I'm here." "Then don't lose the next thing. Be present now." "Does it get easier, the regret?" "No, but you learn to carry it without letting it destroy you." Derek nodded, left. Sarah watched him drive away. James came out, handed her coffee. "You okay?" "Yeah, it's just weird sometimes, seeing him try. He'll never be what they need, but he can be something. That's enough." They sat on the porch swing, watched fireflies, twins playing in the yard. "You know what's funny?" Sarah said. "For years, I thought my happy ending would look like magazine covers in penthouse apartments. And now?" Sarah looked at their life. "Now it looks like soccer practice and parent-teacher conferences and someone who actually shows up." "Boring, huh?" Sarah smiled. "Boring is underrated." They kissed. The twins ran over. They're kissing." "Gross." Everyone laughed. The camera pulled back. Aerial view, house, family and yard, golden hour light. Sarah's voiceover began. "People ask me if this is a love story. I tell them it's a survival story that became a love story. I didn't need a billionaire to save me. I saved myself. He just showed up after I'd already won." And when you've been with someone who only showed up for appearances, you learn to cherish someone who shows up for Tuesday nights, for the boring stuff, for the real stuff. Derek gave me children, but James made us a family. And in the end, that's the story I want my boys to know. That love isn't about who finds you first, it's about who stays. Fade to black. The final text appeared on screen. Derek Lawson completed 500 hours of court-mandated therapy and now has weekly supervised visitation with his sons. He started a small consulting firm. Patricia Lawson was removed from all board positions after her role in covering up fraud was exposed. The Lawson estate was sold to cover legal fees. Madison Rivers runs Phoenix Rising, a nonprofit helping women escape financially abusive relationships. She's engaged to a high school teacher. James Sterling and Sarah Mitchell Sterling have been married for 6 years. Sarah's marketing firm employs 30 people. James coaches the twins' soccer team. The twins are thriving. Sometimes the best revenge is living well.